Welcome to Work the Left Side. I'm hyper hyped to announce tonight's guest. I am joined by the one and only Mr. Joe Sedgwick. How are you doing, buddy? You good?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, mate, not a problem at all, dude. Obviously, you know, seeing all the stuff you've been doing. Obviously, I know we'll talk about it later on, kind of thing. Wrestling in Newcastle as well. Ivy's first pick as for her talent agency. But no, dude, obviously, I've spoken to a lot of people in your circle as well, kind of thing, Seb, Courtney, Evan Knight, all these kind of guys that are around. Well, I'm classing as being, like the next big things, guys that people need to get their eyes on. We need to sort of look what you're doing right now so we can say, yeah, mate, we saw these guys a couple of years ago before they, freaking became huge.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
That's right. So yeah, that's it really. Just gotta sit here, have a good old chat, talk about what's going on. Like I said, that's exciting, the whole Newcastle thing. But we'll tick the generic box first, just cause we'll get it out of the way. So obviously, like I said, I've just said, you're someone that I think a lot of people need, or everybody should be having eyes on, doing exciting stuff. But you're still, really early doors, in your journey. You've not been around for that long.
No.
Because you're young. You're still a little whippersnapper. What made you get into wrestling?
Obviously, growing up, UKW is my dad's place. So growing up, I've always been around it. I've always been at the shows. Like one of the flagship shows for UKW is Wrestlebration. The first one was my birthday party, so it's like I've always been around it, and I remember like very vividly. I remember just going and I'd be sat in the living room with my dad watching Raw on TV and watching John Cena and Rob Van Dam. But yeah, that's how I got into it. And then as soon as I got to that age, I was like, I want to do this. I'm getting in the ring. I've been training since I could first get in. Probably like 5 years old. And then in 2019, well, before then, I was a little bit on and off, to be fair. Like, I won't lie. Like, obviously, I was at school and I was like, oh, well, I've got better stuff to be doing than going and training. But then in 2019, just before COVID, I had a brain surgery. I had a tumor on my brain. So I had to have surgery on that. And because I had the time off, I was like, well, now I miss it. Now I can't do it. I want to do it. And then COVID also hit at the same time. So then everything shut. So I just couldn't go back. So I was ready and then I couldn't go back. And obviously when it all opened back up, that's when I started fully taking it serious. So like 2021 time, I was like, right, it's time to like really lock in.
Dude, so you was literally born into it then, really. It's kind of like, that sort of, yeah. I suppose you could have gone one way or the other, though. You could have been like, really excited to do it, or just been like, nah, mate, fucking hate it. That's my life kind of thing. That's all I see. Or you could have rebelled big time against it.
I think because I grew up with it, and like I'm a massive John Cena mark. Like I love John Cena. Like I don't know. I think as soon as I got the chance to do it, I was bound to do it. I was going to do it, and I got to grow up watching my dad do it as well, that was really nice.
That's cool. So second generation star. But that explains a lot, man, because obviously, I've been, watching your matches, watching you just moving around. Everything just seems like really smooth. And I'm kind of looking at you. I'm like, the dude looks like he's freaking young. I'm like, oh, is he like freaking deceptively old? Is he like freaking late 20s, mid 30s? Because, the way that you work, I'm like, no, man, this guy's been around for longer than I think he has.
Yeah.
But like you said, if you started at 5 or you've always been around it, it's kind of going to come.
I'm 20 now, turning 21 in mid-July. So that's what, like 15, 16 years. Obviously, I've not picked up all the knowledge from when I was a 5-year-old kid. Like at that point, I just wanted to run around and jump on a mat. I just wanted to jump on the top rope. But like, I've always seen it, and I've always obviously been backstage and stuff as well. So it's always been fun to see.
Dude, that's awesome. Because that's the thing as well, though. You know, it's like that's what always amazes me when I watch any like UKW shows or footage or things like that. Is the size of the ring. I mean, it's just freaking huge. Obviously, it's like what, a 20-foot ring.
Yeah. But now I've got so used to working in a 20-foot ring. Like I train in this ring, I work in this ring on a weekly basis every Friday night. Like I'm in this that much. It's now harder to work in a smaller ring. So like when I'm going to Newcastle and I think there's like a 16, it's harder to like downscale to a ring. Whereas I think it'd be easier to upscale to a 20-footer. Even when I'm training, again up in Newcastle with Rampage, their ring I think is 16. I don't think it's 18. I think it's 16. But even that, like sometimes when we're bumping and doing drills, I'm sort of like really close to the ropes. And I'm like, fucking hell. Normally I've got like another like foot to the ropes.
I always thought, again, I'm speaking from this side of the sort of curtain kind of thing. I don't know for definite, but I could only imagine, guys who run the ropes in like a 20-foot ring. Like your cardio must just be a little bit better because you're doing more laps technically.
I should hope so.
But obviously, we're talking UKW. So you just mentioned, obviously, being in Newcastle, Rampage. So you've always kind of been around, wrestling. So then obviously you're looking at improving, fine tuning stuff, getting more experience. So I know Seb says that he kind of went up to train. He tries to get up to Newcastle as much as he can to train, kind of thing. I presume you've got the same mindset. You venture off up there.
So I think it was Rampage had a seminar here. I think it was years ago, and we did that, and then we thought, oh, that was really good. Like we learned quite a lot from it. So we was like, let's just drive up and we'll go up to his school. So we went up and we had fun, and it's definitely worth a 2-hour drive. But it wipes out a full day. So we tend to go we try to go every other week. It doesn't always end up being every other week. But it's really solid. I love Rampage. I love Rich. Just all the people up there. There's plenty of guys. And they're all sound. They're all solid. And it's good being able to train with different people as well. Because obviously I'm training here. But I'm also wrestling on the shows with these guys as well. Yeah. So it's nice to then go up there and sort of like train with a different bunch. It's just improving myself, like you said.
Well, that's it. I mean, everybody that I speak to, who's kind of got their head screwed on right, will always sort of say, it's as loyal as they are, to their school. They love the school. It's kind of their safe, place where they know everybody. But everybody should kind of venture out. You should go to this school, you should go to that school. You should try, speak to new people. Just get different perspective on what you're doing.
I went to I think it's called Grimsby. I don't actually know. It's Evo. I know that. I don't know where. Kyle, no clue. But so we went to train there. I've trained with Liam at Pursuit Pro, PPW. I've been meaning to go back quite a lot recently. I've been because I want to go to one of these Like Us 2 sessions. I love watching the gym.
Yeah, if you're going to learn off another person to learn from, another string to add to your bow kind of thing, it would be a nice box to sort of tick to be like, I've kind of picked Like Us 2's brain, and I've kind of tried to get all the wisdom I can from it, or some of the wisdom, a fraction of it kind of thing.
Yeah.
But obviously, you mentioned Evo, so that's, I'm presuming, was it kind of like either the Robros or Scotty that was sorted out
when we went there. Me and Kyle even drove to London to train at Rev Pro once. Wow. God, what a day! We drove there and drove back in the same day. That was a journey. We'd done New Wave with Flash, Morgan Webster. I think that's all we've trained. I think that's all we've done. I'm trying to think if there's any more.
That's freaking ticking all the boxes. That's like, because we had Evan Knight on, a few weeks ago, and pretty much exactly, same sort of journey. you know, he was all about Evo and training up in Newcastle and all this kind of sort of stuff. And because it's you, him, and Seb sometimes in the car, isn't it?
Yeah, they're very entertaining on my half. For Seb, for Kyle, I don't think he enjoys it very much.
Yeah. I was speaking to him about it. I was like, it just dropped. I was like, first, I was like, right, I need to mention this. Kind of just totally forgot about it, you know, doing everything else. And as soon as you mentioned that, I was like, yes, we've got to mention this because I can remember, you know, just.
I always get to control the Bluetooth. Like I get to connect my music to it, and it can either go from Travis Scott to like Taylor Swift. Even Christmas songs. I've been playing Christmas songs quite a lot lately.
Oh, dude. I just imagine poor Seb's just sat there like that. That is, like I say, that's just ticking all the boxes for me. That is, you know, that's just another reason, you know, for me saying what I've been saying about, you know, getting eyes on what you're doing, and why, like, you know, I said before, you just look so smooth, you know, doing everything that I've seen in the ring, outside of the ring. You just, yeah, mate, for 20 years old, that's freaking, that's right. Crazy. That's mind blowing. But like I say, well, anybody who knows me, who knows this episode, I class Rampage as the best ever. You know, he is the GOAT when it comes to British wrestling. So yeah, if you're picking his brain, training up there, mate, that's just, you could say that you trained by Rampage to any promoter and they'll be like, cool. So yep, you got that credibility straight away.
I always love going up to the Rampage Brown sessions, and he's humble. I think that's the main thing. But he's not afraid to pick apart literally everything, which is what you need.
Yeah, you need that critique, don't you? It's like, because you know it's coming from a good place. You know it's coming from a place to make you better. Obviously, yeah, you're open to it. And he's like, oh, okay, cool.
But I couldn't credit that school enough. Like, me and Kyle drive from, so I think from just where we are, which is like just outside of Wakefield, up to what was it called, Newcastle. That's a good like hour and 45-minute drive. So we go there, train, and on the way back we always stop for food. It's got to be a Nando's, and then we drive down.
Why? Anybody? Oh, I can't let that slide because anybody who knows me will know now that I've been triggered, and I'm just like,
what Nando's?
What? Yeah, I just do not get the hype about it. I'm like, fucking hate the whole chicken. Mate, it's just, I remember going in once, having like a chicken wrap, some corn on the top, and it cost me 15 quid or something. I was just like, what the hell?
That's why you go, like, next time you go in, like, you have to get loaded fries with no spring onions because it's spicy, and then get 4 medium fries, not too spicy, and then the mac and cheese. That's what I get.
Okay. I don't know. I just kind of got my back up straight. You know when somebody gets your back up and you're just like, nope. Okay.
You should give it a go. It's banging.
Okay, I'll give it a second chance. I'll give it another go. But yeah, that's just, say, it's just, again, it's the commitment. It's sort of, when I hear stories like this, it's just like, you can always kind of tell somebody's got that passion or that enthusiasm. Because, mate, like you sort of said, that is a long-ass round trip. You know, you're not going to do that for the sake of it. You're not going to half-arse it. So you're 100% just like, yeah, I freaking love this business and I want to do everything I can do to get better.
Well, it's like, I think we set off at like 8, 9 a.m. Obviously 2-hour drive up, we get there for 12, set the ring up, start training at 1, finish at 3, deck the ring. Could be 4:30 before we set off. Get Nando's. It's probably about around 5:30 before we set off. So then it's like pushing 7, 8 p.m. by the time we get home.
That's like a full day's job, isn't it? It's like a full day at work. You know, you're working like a freaking, nearly like a 12-hour shift kind of thing.
Yeah, it's insane.
Dude.
Worth it.
There you go. That's the thing, you see. It's like, so you can't, it's invaluable, you know, everything that you're going to be learning up there. Obviously, talking to Seb, looking through, you know, the socials earlier, 21 Union seems to be a new formation. You know, I don't know how long it's been in the works for, but it was quite a recent post, you know, when you've mentioned the 21 Union.
Well, we've been talking about it for maybe a good year now. The idea originally came from Rampage. We was talking about it and we was like, well, should we just tag? And he was like, well, obviously you're mates, you drive to and from here all the time, you're doing plenty of hours in the car together, so like you can put ideas together, and then we come up with 21 Union. I don't know where Kyle got Union from. He sent me a list of loads, and I was like, not that one, not that one, not that one. Oh, Union's not that bad. We could go with that one. It was originally 22 Union, because 22 was when we both started like properly wrestling. But then I said to do the 21 Union because 21 was like, I think it was back end of 2021 when we first like met, when we started like talking and being mates. And also I said to him that it'd be funny if we did like 21 for 21 Jump Street, the Channing Tatum movie.
Yeah.
So we've named his finish the Jump Street Driver. So obviously when, I don't know if you've seen the finish, but Mercer gets him up for like the big ending, and then I hit the flatliner. So we all come down at once. And we was like, well, we've never seen that move done like by anyone else. Like it's kind of insane. Like if obviously someone in the world will have done it, we've just not seen the clip. But to us, we was like, have we just invented a move? What the hell?
Yeah.
So then we was like, we need a move for it, like a name, for the move. And then I was like, Jump Street Driver. It works as well. It flows off the tongue nice. So but that's how we come up with the name for 21 Union.
Mate, that's awesome. As soon as I saw the 21 Union, as soon as I sort of said it, yeah, you can't deny a lot of people are going to be thinking 21 Jump Street. It's sort of, as soon as you say 21, it's Jump Street kind of thing. You sort of right. So yeah, to pay that's an awesome name for the finishing move
as well. It's a cool dynamic as well because then it's like you've got the Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill in that. Oh. And I told Kyle obviously I'd be the Channing Tatum and he can be the Jonah Hill.
I was going to say you've kind of got the sort of the height sort of size thing, and yeah, I was trying to think of a way to say it without besmirching, Seb. But yeah, that's it. You can say it. You can say it. I'm not going to say it. But mate, that's awesome. So, but again, working tag, especially with somebody like Seb as well. That's going to open more doors. You got to think more because that's when I speak to people. Obviously, they love doing the single stuff, but then they love doing the tag, especially when it's with like one of their best mates, because you kind of get that excitement of just working together. You've got someone in your corner. It's fun.
Well, even when I went to Newcastle, Kyle came out with me. Like he didn't do anything. He just stood ringside, and it was nice to then be able to let Kyle have the opportunity to come up and share that sort of spotlight with me, because Kyle's done loads for me. He's before I passed my test, he was driving me to and from Newcastle. And like it's the amount of matches we've had here, the amount of times we've trained together, like the amount of miles we've done together. So it's nice to like if I've got that spotlight on a show like Wrestling In Newcastle, and I can be like, oh, Cameron Kyle, and then obviously Kyle can come out and he's getting his face out there, and it's just good that I can give back to him after he's given so much to me.
So I was going to mention, obviously, I was going to bring up the Wrestling In Newcastle, debut last Saturday. Ivy's first pick for her talent scout agency. I was just thinking, I was like, how cool would it be if Seb was like, number 2 pick kind of thing, and then you kind of you could either work singles because of it just being part, but it's kind of like it could be the start of a faction.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said with the singles and tag stuff, like I do like doing the singles matches. I love having the freedom of doing all of my own stuff. But I think with tags, I've always found myself like it's not easier, but like I don't know how to explain it, but putting a multi-man match together, whether it's triple threat, fatal 4-way, tag match, 6-pack challenge, whatever there is, I think it's better putting one of them together because the amount of spots you can come up with.
I'm speaking from this side of the curtain. I don't know. I would have presumed, like working a multi-man match would have been harder to plan because, there's more moving parts, there's stuff that could go wrong.
Because then you've got to sort of group everyone together and be like, right, this is your bit, this is your bit, this is what we're going to do. And then timing as well. So I think if it's a multi-man match with everyone that knows what they're going to do and knows what they're doing and they can be in there when they're ready, then it's smooth sailing. It gets very stressful if people are like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Oh, sorry, I was late. I was doing this something. I was brawling on the outside, and it's like, mate, what do you mean? But I think it's like a tidied up multi-man match. Like there's 4 of us, but then you've got 2 aside, so then you can have like 2 of you do some kind of spot with one, but then one of them has to get out because it's a tag. So it sort of like tidies it up, but also it doesn't limit me to just singles wrestle spots.
I said, I've said it before, numerous times. For me, like the hot tag is like one of the best spots in any match ever, kind of thing. If you can work, if you've got that connection with the fans, or I've done it either way. If you're face or heel, if you're on the receiving end of the hot tag, or if you're the one doing the hot tag, mate, the pop you get, that's just like freaking. You've got them in the palm of your hands if you work it right.
Yeah, it's insane.
But yeah, man, that's just I'm looking forward to sort of seeing. I'm just excited now because, like I said, Seb's amazing. So if something comes out of this for him as well, I'll be well up for that because I think Wrestling in Newcastle. I'll say they need a faction, but they've kind of already got Brady and Rampage with kind of Adam Bolt on the outside. But again though, everybody knows Brady's and Ivy's association, so you could also kind of be pulled into that picture at some point. You kind of you're rubbing shoulders with the main eventers.
Honestly, like, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be on the show. Like, obviously, we drove, like, it ended up being like 2.5 hour drive on the way up because I drove and I took a wrong turn on the way up to Newcastle, so I did like half an hour on. Literally, but as I was driving, I was like, oh, look, there's only 20 minutes left. Missed the turn, and then it added like 30 minutes, and then Kyle was like, for fuck's sake, what are you doing? But yeah, it was long. But anyway, so we did like the 2.5 hour drive. And I expected to be in and out, like literally slide in, eat whatever HG tricks finishes, pin, sorted, get out. But they was like, no, you got a little bit of time, and then this is what we want, blah, 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 blah. And then, such is life. I ended up going over in the match as well, so I ended up getting the win, which is really cool. I was surprised by that. And it's nice that a company like that trusts me.
I think I haven't checked the results. I've been trying to avoid, stuff. No, I'm not obviously something to talk about, but it's like, again, Wrestling in Newcastle are great at putting the shows on YouTube, a month or so later, kind of thing, and I love watching them. I make my own little sort of reels and stuff like that of the matches. But yeah, I was kind of going to sort of joke and be like, no spoilers, but I'm going to guess, you won because shoot, you're hype, you're my guest. I've got to get your back here. I've got to say I think you win. But in the back of my head, I was like, Drake's going to win because it's HT Drake. But, they'll make you look good. But, I would imagine Drake would have gone over. So, mate, that's huge.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I'd been told. I was like, oh, mate, thank you. Like, it's just nice to have been told, obviously, and trusted with going over that kind of, like, caliber of match. And it was only, like, it wasn't, like, one of the big matches on the night. It wasn't, like, main event. It wasn't like semi-main or first half main event or opener or anything. Like, it was just a throwaway mid-card, but just the opportunity to be on it and to be part of like that sort of spot, that sort of caliber of show, it's really nice. And it's nice to see the hard work pay off.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's the thing, again, I think that's just British wrestling in general, not just Wrestling in Newcastle. I could be talking about, True Grit, I could be talking about BWR, I could be talking about North, Wrestling Ireland, Infamous. I don't think there's no such thing anymore. It's just, like mid-card fillers or, just filler matches. You look at any wrestling show now and literally it is stacked full of 7 or 8 quality matches every match. There used to be a time when I'd be like, all right, that's when I'm going to the bar. That's when I'm going to, I'll go for a piss during this match. I'm like, oh, crap. Now I'm going to have to join the queue, join the intermission with everybody else because I don't want to miss any of these matches.
Yeah, it's really good. It's nice to see, like, now everyone's getting a spotlight as well. It's good to see. It's good that people are invested in the British wrestling scene.
It must be an exciting time for you guys to be kind of, because obviously, I think it's been awesome for the last few years kind of thing, but it's so much better this year than it was last year. Last year was better than the year before. The curve is going up huge kind of thing. It must just be a very, very cool time to be involved. And, as you sort of said, you're kind of hitting the stride now and sort of making the debut and, your radius of bookings over the next 12 months, I think it's just going to go like this. But, mate, yeah, you must just be hyped.
Yeah, I'm excited. I really am. And the fact that I'm going to be doing it with Kyle as well. Like, we're going to be doing the tag, whether we're in the car with Evan or like Hunter, George Hunter, he started coming up. But like whoever's in the car, it doesn't matter, like, because we're all just here to do the same thing. But it's going to be nice to be able to do that with Kyle.
Yeah. Yeah, George Hunter, that's the name I've seen popping, I've noticed as well, like down at UKW, popping up on shows, posters, and, footage and stuff like that as well. When you mentioned Pursuit, obviously I kind of think of him as primarily like a Pursuit guy. So that would be, again, it's just another name for somebody else who is, and, that mustache is glorious. So, I'm going to wish him all the luck in the world.
Yeah, he's insane. Like his Phoenix Splash that he does, it is mental.
I mean, again, though, it's like I say, you've got a collection of people who are just hitting the ground running now. It seems to be like it's just like, yep. I mean, you four guys, you just mentioned four names there. I was on about it before, like Ivy's talent scout agency kind of thing. If she wants to recruit more and more people, have a little faction sort of building up. Mate, you four guys, that's money for me. You put you four in a faction in Wrestling in Newcastle, dude. I'll make that trip up.
It is worth the trip up, though. I will say, it's like every show I've been up to. Like we've been up to a couple now, and they've always been solid. Like we did the Rumble show in January, I think it was. That was really good. I got to work with like Jack Bandicoot. Who else was in that? That Levi, the guy was really good. And then,
I remember watching that Rumble match and thinking like, oh shit, that was awesome.
And then the time before that, I think it was this time sort of last year, and we'd just gone up for like this training seminar. I can't remember who. I think it was BT Gunn who was doing it, even Casey Owens. And then afterwards, it was like, "Oh, do you want to spot on the show? Like, we need someone to work." Shreddy and Alex Henry. And I was like, "Yeah, we'll do it. We brought his gear, so yeah, we'll jump in that." But it was just—it's nice to be trusted to do these things.
I'll rephrase what I said towards the start because I totally forgot using the Rumble. I remember watching that Rumble and I thought about it. I was like, I'm sure I did it, but when you second guess yourself, it's like, have I just seen it somewhere else? But obviously, I just said, that was your Wrestling in Newcastle debut.
Oh yes,
your Wrestling in Newcastle singles debut.
Yeah, we did the tag, then the Rumble, then the singles.
That's it. So yeah, I'm correcting myself. That's before anybody else will go at me. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to cut here for a sec. Sorry, mate. Yeah. Is he all right? Yeah. Is he good? Yeah. I heard him crying. Huh? I heard him crying. Was he all right?
Yeah, fine.
Sweet. Okay, cool. Sorry, I just want to check on him.
That's right.
I lost my trust. I was talking wrestling now. Just right. So yeah, going forward, then like I said, got that whole Wrestling in Newcastle, got the UKW. Obviously, as well, you got into this because, as you said, from a really young age, you're just a fan of wrestling as a whole. When if you're not training or doing the UKW stuff, do you get a chance to sort of venture out and about, see other promotions, go watch other shows?
There's been a couple of times where we've gone like, Rev Pros in Sheffield. So it was me, Kyle, I think Evan came with us, Hamza and Mo, when we went and watched Rev Pro in Sheffield. Been to watch Progress in Manchester.
Did you go last weekend? Did you go to that one or the one?
No. It was probably a year, maybe 2 ago now. It was a fair while back. And then we watched All In London.
Ah, dude. Because again, that's one of the things that it blows a lot of people's minds. I think unless you're in the business, you kind of don't understand it, kind of thing. And I've kind of get the gist of it from so many people who've been have told me about it, or we've had conversations about it. It's just crazy how much networking comes into it, kind of thing. You could be the best person in the ring, you could be extra cool, but if you don't get yourself out there, or you don't sort of introduce yourself to people, or people don't see you face to face, sometimes that can be half the battle.
Yeah, it is mental how much you have to like go around and talk to people. It's not bad. Like I don't think I'm a shy person, but I don't know. It's just it's mental how much you have to go around and like meet new people just to get on a new promotion, a new show.
I'm obviously hyping up the scene, saying how great it is and everything like that. But the reason it's so great is because there's so much talent out there, and I'm sort of saying how awesome you are. But even like me hyping you up, it's kind of like, because there's so much talent out there. Again, it's kind of like, there's only so many matches on any given card for any given promoter. It's kind of like, I really want to work here, or I really want to work there, but everybody's kind of got their own group of people now, kind of thing. So it must be hard to, like I say, just get that foot in. That's where the networking obviously kind of comes into it.
100%. It was like Evan and Mercer just managed to get onto the BWR pre-show like maybe a month ago now. That's just from them going and training up there and just showing face. I know that obviously look at NRG, they're killing it now. They're all over, and it's just like they was in France not long back, was this? It's just.
Sorry, dude. What's that? Sorry, I thought I cut you off there. Apologies. I thought I'd cut you off. But yeah, no, obviously NRG all the time in the world. Love Mo, love Hamza. Obviously, cheap, quick plug. You know, get to see them versus Tashboat at WrestleFest True Grit on Saturday. Tashboat obviously being Dora Diablo and Jake Silver. But yeah, you know, NRG, they're just an example of, again, their momentum is building up, no pun intended. But it's just, like I say, getting there. Obviously, I've seen Seb, he's crewed True Grit. Oh, I saw he took a big chop off a big T at True Grit in York. I'll ask you, obviously, being one of his besties. I bet he was sore for a few days afterwards, though, wasn't
he? He said it winded him.
Can you imagine that, though? Just being like, oh, yeah, can you help out? You know, True Grit. Can you help us out on the show? You know, like, yeah, cool. You get a free T-shirt. Awesome. What else? Yeah, mate, you got to take a chop off a big T.
It's, I bet he would have been like, yeah, all right, I'll do that.
Yeah, they're dope down. But yeah, so that's the thing. Obviously, you know, when I go around to shows as well. So, you know, I think I've seen Evan, you know, walking around at True Grit as well. So I'll keep my eyes open because, again, you know, it's stuff like that. That's all part of the, you know, I think you'd be awesome. I'd love to see you sort of turn up at True Grit. Again, because it's a local promotion. It's not too much travel for you. You know, you don't have to worry about a whole 12-hour session.
No, it's only Leeds, isn't it? Leeds and wherever else they run. I can't remember where the other one is. Is it York?
Leeds and York alternates, yeah. So, again, but, you know, as I was saying, you know, there's just so many different promotions out there. I'm a fucker for it. Apologies. I'm just start fantasy booking. You know, I'm like, oh, you know, yeah, I'd love to see you against, like, you know, Billy O'Keefe or something, you know, at True Grit, or, you know, freaking Supersonic Sammy Blue at Blackheart, or you know, Seb at Blackheart. You know, that'd be Seb's holding a belt at Blackheart. You know, if you turned up, rocked up to challenge him for it, mate. Just so many possibilities out there. It's just kind of like, yeah, like I said before, you know, I rewind it. It's just an exciting time.
100%.
But no, so I was kind of caught myself. I was going to ask, you know, is there any promotions out there, you know, that you've got? I know a lot of people have like lists of people they want to work with or promotions they want to work for, kind of thing. But I always like to ask it, but I always kind of feel like a twat for asking it because it kind of puts you on the spot, or it kind of makes you. If you say 3 promotions, you're then going to feel bad and be like, oh shit, I should have said this promotion or that promotion. So, are there any other areas you really want to work on? So you worked in Newcastle, you've worked Yorkshire. You know, have you got your sights set on, you know, Liverpool way, Manchester, Midlands?
I think the next stop's London.
Ooh.
Honestly, I think London is the next sort of one that I want to make sure I try and get. Obviously, that means like Rev Pro progress, and there's no way I'm anywhere near that yet. But I think not my end goal, but like right now, I see my end goal being get to London. And then obviously America and all these other places. Like everyone's always going, oh, let's go to Japan. I'd love to go wrestle in Japan. Mate, Japan would kick the shit out of me. I go to America instead. I'm not built for Japan in strong style.
You're like, all right, that's it. I'm done.
If the opportunity came, then obviously I'm not going to turn it down. But I'm not going to be like, oh, please, Japan, please book me. No, like they'll drop me on my head and the chops as well. Oh my! Like, I take them here, or I take them in Newcastle, and they're bad enough.
Just like, yeah, I'll make that big T one. You know, like, yeah, we'll make the big T one on Seb just look like a nose flick or something.
Yeah, I think the worst chop I've ever taken. Have you heard Mustafa Khan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was quite recent actually. He had me sort of through the middle rope, and my arms were over the top, so my back was sort of up. My chest was up, and he full overhanded straight onto it. And Oh my, that is the worst one I think I've ever had. It really, really stung. But I love working with Mustafa. He practically brought me up as well, like within the ring. He's trained me. I have all the time in the world for him. There's like Mustafa, my dad, and Sid Phoenix. I don't know if you'll know who Sid Phoenix is, but those were the three that sort of like taught me sort of from that young age. So
again, yeah, rewinding back, like you sort of said, you've been around it also, you're like 5 and stuff. So you'll have seen people come and go, you've been, like I sort of said, been able to pick the brains of freaking hundreds of different kinds of talents. Like I was saying before about going to different schools to, pick different people's brains or learn things from different people. It's like, yeah, you've had that for years and years and years with different degrees of people like experience as well, because just anytime anybody came through, you could just be like, yep. Even if you're not talking to them, you just, you could just be sat there watching them. Yeah, it'd be amazing how much kind of sank in.
Yeah, it is crazy, but like, I always love the opportunity to talk to anyone, and obviously I always will. Like whenever I've gone up to Newcastle, you go around and shake everyone's hand, just out of respect as well. But then you can sit and you can talk with people, and you can just meet new people, and then you never know what kind of door that's going to open up. So it's always worth doing.
That's one thing I did love when I spoke to Benji. He kind of emphasized the importance of like when wrestling in Newcastle, do the seminars. It's because he admitted kind of thing. It's like it's a good way for them to scout talent. If somebody impresses in a seminar, then they're more likely to be like reached out to, like, yeah, we want to use you on the show, kind of thing.
100%.
That's just because Chili Heatwave. I know he ventures up to Newcastle, kind of thing. I know he's been used on the back of like the seminars, and for me, that just makes all the sense in the world. As much as I'm not talking about networking and everything like this, if a promotion runs an in-house seminar, mate, yeah, you've got. I've got to presume that kind of puts more pressure on you, because if you're looking at it as like, I'm in front of a talent scout, basically. Yeah. I've got to deliver. You kind of, I presume you put that pressure on yourself.
Yeah, it was kind of was like when we went up to Newcastle, we had no idea who was going to be on the show, or even asked. But it was like, oh, let's just pack his gear anyway. But then we was driving up, we was like, mate, like if we do impress, then obviously it might be a future for us here. And well, we must have done something right.
Oh, that's it. Because again, a company like that, they're going to have freaking 100+ people who want to work on that card. And I always say this to people, like, whether it's in the first year or 2 years into the journey kind of thing, like when they get that first booking outside of the school or outside of, wherever they learn, or their local promotion, whatever they class as their house, they're getting that first booking outside that's huge. For me, that would be like a massive, like, I think it was Joey Slade. He showed me. I think he got paid £10, and he's got the £10 framed, like on his wall. Yeah, like his first payday. It just means that much. It's like, right, I'm framing that. It means something.
Yeah, that's quite cool. That's wholesome.
Presumably, like obviously you work in UKW. Yeah, I presume you kind of got that buzz. Somebody's reached out to you and been like, no, we've got a limited amount of slots on the show. I've got X amount of talent I can pick from, but I want to give you my money.
Yeah, but it is very nice to be like, just like I said, like to be trusted with that, and to be trusted like when you could have gone and given that to someone else. It's nice to be shown like, oh, well, we have faith in you and like in what we've seen. So it's just nice.
I'm going to rewind it back again because I like saying it now because it makes me think of 21 Jump Street. But the 21 Union, the whole tag team sort of thing. Obviously, if you're looking down that route as well, because obviously when you're doing training and stuff like that, I presume most of it is focused on the single stuff. You do a lot of training, you do that kind of stuff. The best way I presume for a tag team to learn is just to have matches against other tag teams, see what works, what doesn't work, what feels right. Yeah. I've got to presume, you guys are going to want to match against NRG at some point.
Of course, it has to be done.
Anybody else on the? This is where I will ask you for a list. Give me your like top 3. If you could book against 3 tag teams for 21 Union, NRG, we've already said that was a given, but
Obviously, 100% like us, Jim.
Yeah.
Like us, Jim has to be up there. Subculture. Subculture is really good. And Kyle would kill me if I didn't say the Gallus. he would. He just wouldn't talk to me. So it's probably got to be Gallus for the third one. But they would kill us and just crush us.
Still an experience, dude. That's how you learn. You know, as the saying goes, why did we get knocked down? To learn to get back up again. That would be that moment for you. You would have that and be like, yep. I can pick myself back up. It's fine. It's good. It's good. That's a victory.
But yeah, I could definitely like us, Jim. We saw them at Progress when we've been before. Subculture we watched at, where did we go? I think it was a 1PW show.
I was going to say 1PW in the ladder match against Boisterous Behaviour.
No, I think it was ladder. It was just, I think it was against Boisterous Behaviour, but it was just a normal tag.
No, it was a normal tag, and then they did the ladder match at the show afterwards.
I've no clue, mate. I have no clue.
Yes.
It was the show with Osprey on it. Osprey and Carolina.
So I did, I forgot about that. Yeah, it was just, Subculture versus Boisterous Behaviour. Just those two teams was just like...
Yeah, it's
1PW before it all went tits up. That's just... Again, those three teams, like us, Jim, awesome. But again, you've kind of got... for me, I'd be looking, like your Crash Boats as well, Act 2. Just guys that kind of... The 05... I'd love to see 21 Union versus the 05. I think that would just be because you're both sort of similar ages, sort of similar experience. Mate, yeah. This is just what I do though. I lose myself now. I've gone down that rabbit hole of fantasy booking. But I think if you work with guys like that as well, that opens up the doors. Hopefully, over time to kind of get over to Infamous or Infinite or. Just venture over to Liverpool, go see the sights, do some wrestling.
Yeah, what better way to spend it?
Right, that's just. But obviously, let's not look past UKW. That is where a lot of people are seeing you work your magic, doing your thing. Obviously, former TV title champ. So, what's there? Obviously, you're going to be around UKW for the foreseeable. I can't ever see you not being there.
Well, we've got WrestleBration coming up, 26th of July. This is the 16th one since 16 years. That's gonna be fun. 21 Union will be there. That should be something fun, something exciting. I think what's happening is going to be announced soon. I just don't want to put anything out there. I think my dad would kill me.
No spoilers.
So I think that's coming out soon. The WrestleBration is honestly it's shaping up to really solid. I'm not just saying that because it's UKW and because it's like my dad's and I'm always here. But generally, I think this is one of the best pay-per-view cards that has been put together in however long.
Nice. I mean, you guys have got so much talent now, kind of thing, that, like we were sort of saying before, you're not going to have any filler matches. You're not going to have any shady, just thrown together, matches for the sake of it kind of thing. Everything's got to mean something. And, when you've got the pool that I sort of see now working UKW, it's like, okay. Everything.
Like, I think coming from since like January this year, there's sort of been the next sort of, I won't say like era, but the next sort of like pool of talent that's come through, and it's sort of like spilled in and it's all mixed in with the older sort of pool, and it's gone really well because now we've got new people to work, and then like we brought in Jericho and Amir Jordan in March, and they killed it with Johan in the world title match. Like it was really good. Paul Hubris has just come back. But it's like even Paul's a good one to pick his brains with. He's the one I took the TV title from January last year before losing it to Hamza.
Hamza. Yes, I think actually rewind. Sorry, mate. Every now and again the page just drops and I get like I've got memory like a goldfish. But I'm pretty certain when I spoke to Hamza, he just won the title off you.
It was the WrestleBration.
Yes.
Yeah. He beat me for it, and then we had Mercer come out and he cashed in the dream ticket and he walked out with the title.
Right. Obviously, again, looking through the socials, you've just been through a freaking 2 out of 3s battle with Stigma.
Sigma, yeah. It was different because obviously I'd never done a match like a 2 out of 3 falls. So it was fun to sort of plan. It was very warm though. I think that is the warmest I have ever been in a match, and it felt awful. Like that's why at the end of the match, I don't know if you've watched all of it, but like I pinned him right at the end, and as soon as I got that 3, I sort of just rolled off him and just laid there because I just couldn't move. I was like, fucking hell.
Need a water, boy.
There's ref Gary came up to me and was like, "Come on, get up so I can raise your arm." And I was like, "Mate, just give me a second."
No.
Someone like Stigma, he doesn't slow down. He's very fast. He can shift, and to keep up with Stigma for like the best part of 15 minutes it was a task. So,
dude, yeah, mate, definitely be proud of yourself. Like I said, but again, it's something you've not done before. You're putting yourself out of the comfort zone. You're trying new things, and it's working. And it's just
like recently. So, like talking of recent matches, I think my most recent pay-per-view match with Danny Missing. I don't know if you've heard of Danny.
Yes.
So we did a match at the one pay-per-view, and we ended up going through this wall. So then we had to have a rematch. So we did a second one, and it ended up being like it had to have an ending. It had to have a winner. And I think that's the match I'm proudest of, especially this year. Just because we had that, like you said earlier, with the crowd in your palm of your hand, we had that, and we was on basically last because it was like the winner advances to the match with Johan, which is straight away. But then the Johan match was like 3 minutes. So, but it was me and Danny, and I think we just gelled together really well. Like we smashed a bin over his head. We did a spot where we had 2 steel chairs sort of set up, and I stood on the chairs. This is on the floor, and I suplexed him over it on the floor. We did the Spanish fly off the top. I think it was one of the matches I'm most proud of.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that. I think if I put it in the reel, I wanted to, or I couldn't find, just the right clip to use, kind of thing. But it's again, when I speak to people about UKW, it's a weird one because it's like say you got every Friday, it's televised as well. It's like a studio show, basically. You're out in front of the cameras on a weekly basis.
It is really good though, because obviously, like the amount of experience I picked up just from doing this, like, how else are you supposed to learn? Like, what better way to learn to be on TV, preparing yourself for like the States, than being on TV? Like, there's no better way to do it than doing it. Like,
well, that's exactly. That's because again, I know that was that was a massive hurdle for so many. Before, obviously over the last couple of years, YouTube, promoters have kind of learned to embrace YouTube, and then they kind of get onto Triller or different other platforms as well, kind of thing. And obviously, the focus is working the camera. You've got the hard cam. I mean, for a long time in British wrestling, there was no such thing as the hard cam. There didn't need to be. You just worked to the audience that was there, kind of thing. So, and I know that must have been a massive learning shock to a lot of people when they did, hit the bigger times. That they then had to.
It's good here because obviously when you come up through the academy, you're taught hard cam, floor cam. And then you've got obviously the entrance, and you've got the camera down here, and blah, blah, blah. Well, you can't see where I'm putting my hands at the minute, so there's no point me doing it. But you're taught that from day one. Like, you're bumping and you're feeding towards the hard cam. So I think it's good here, just because it's sort of getting straight ready and prepared for whatever the future holds.
Well, that's it, because you're learning that from day one. So it's not like you're a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years into your journey, and then you've got a promoter being like, well, this is being filmed, for like YouTube or for Triller. We've got cameras set up here and here and here. You need to learn to work that. I can presume that would be absolutely freaking melting your brain 4 years into like your wrestling experience to then be like, shit, I need to kind of work differently.
Yeah, I don't think it's like in a sense working differently. Like you'd still work the same. You just sort of have to like make sure you're prioritizing working that one way. Like you've got like a headlock in, you're not going to face the stage. You don't want to see your back, do you? Especially on TV. Like if I've tuned in and I see someone's back, I'm like, the fuck am I watching the skip? So it's keeping people invested as well.
That's it. Because again, I'm a massive mark for William Regal and stuff, and I listen to a lot of interviews with him, and when he's done podcasts, and he sort of said, that it was key. From when he started, there wasn't cameras all over the shop, and then he went over to the States working like WCW, and it was just a case of you had to learn very quickly to know where the cameras were working there. Because like you sort of said, the key thing is not to turn your back on them. You don't want to be that guy, and it'd be like, the fans in attendance, great, they've seen everything. The fans watching on TV or on the phone, it's like, oh shit, we just totally missed that moment.
Yeah, and I think it's not the end of the world if you've done a spot away from the high camera, as long as it's one, because you've here we're lucky because we have a full I think it's 5 or 6 camera setup, so you have other cameras that will pick it up. But obviously other places that might only have a hard cam and a 1 floor cam, then you're a bit right, well, we've definitely just missed this spot, let's turn it around and make sure we get everything.
Would you think right, okay, right, we've missed it this once, shall we do it again for the camera, or do you just think fuck it, crack on?
You've done it, let's just keep going.
Just imagine that split moment though, being like, no, I ain't doing that again. Or the guy being on the receiving end of it being like, nope, not taking that bump again. It's just, but yeah, like I say, mate, that's one of the things that when I was doing the sort of coming soon to work the left side, I did the Joe Sedgwick reel. Also, I was looking through a lot of footage of your matches and stuff like that. And yeah, I'll say that for UKW, it's the footage was awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed watching the matches. It was just so kudos, obviously, everybody involved. Big them up as well. It's always nice to say nice things, and they're doing an awesome job. So
yeah, also, but obviously I noticed in the reel that you used the clips from the match with Mercer last year. That was last summer. I think that's my all-time favorite match, just because obviously it's for my best mate.
I had to get some Seb in there as well, kind of thing. I was just, but yeah, there's in the reel as well. There's that spot where you jump from, it's higher than the rail. It's kind of like you're jumping off a ledge.
Yes, here we've got some tiers.
Tiers. That's what I was looking for. Sorry, dude. Yeah,
we have tiered seating, so it is quite far from where the tier is to the floor. I don't know why I decided it would be a good idea to do an elbow drop from a tier to a floor with the padding is this thick.
Oh.
And obviously I don't push you out of it. I commit and I jump. And it sucks. It's winded me at least two or 3 times, and I've done it maybe 5. But doing bumps here, I've done some stupid stuff. We've got the cage. Don't know if you've seen the big cage before. That's a good 15 foot high. I've jumped off the top of that before, just to the floor. I just took I think it was the Yorkshireman. He came up onto the top rope. I was sat on the top of the cage, and he grabbed me, and he sort of threw me over. I did a flip off the top of the cage to the floor.
To the floor as well, not into the ring, to the freaking floor.
Floor is in the ring.
Oh, thank God for that. I was going to say, I was like, Jesus.
I've got limits. Recently, I did a TLC last year with Hamza and Mercer. And then how we ended that was me and Mercer was on the top of a ladder, and he threw me off, and I went through a table. My girlfriend would kill me if she saw half of these things now. I'm trying to think what other stupid spots I've done. Obviously, going through the wall with Danny.
Yeah.
Countless. Honestly, I've done some stupid things. How I'm still walking is insane. I genuinely don't understand.
It's crazy, isn't it, when you're always kind of weirds me out. I don't want to say it in a bad way because it's kind of like I'm making fun of him. But when you look at the Hardys, it's like Matt can barely walk. Jeff's fine. Jeff's just walking around
stupid shit as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like if anybody was going to be fucking punky knees and walking like freaking peg-legged. You think it'd be Jeff, but just like, no, mate, I'm fine. It's the sensible one who doesn't do any of the gnarly stuff. He's always fucked himself up. But yeah, mate, that elbow drop, like I sort of said, it looked awesome though. Like I sort of said, that's why I had to put it in there because it looked like you got some distance, but the landing as well. Like I said, the pads looked fucking wafer thin, but it was the gap as well between the rail and the ring. It's like you had zero.
So obviously, between the railing and the actual tiers I'd probably give it maybe a foot pushing 1.5. So I have to jump over that, also get the height, and then into the elbow drop. It must suck for whoever's taking it. If someone said to me, I want to do an elbow drop off the tiers, I'd be like, on the floor? Are you insane? What are you doing? But I've done it to numerous people now, so it can't be that bad. So the only reason I did that was by accident. I was a match with JPR. Again, I don't know if you've heard JPR. But we was doing a match. It was last summer. It was just before I'd gone on holiday, so it was last July. And we were supposed to do, the vault splash where you're on the ropes and you just sort of jump up and you just go into a splash.
Yeah.
I mean, so I was going to do that over the barriers because I've done that a couple of times. But when he threw me over, he threw me over the wrong way, so I was facing the wrong way, and then he bumped the wrong way, so I couldn't then do it because then I'd have landed funnily on him. And then there was all the kids that came to one side, so I was like, oh, for God's sake, what am I going to do? So then I was looking around, and the tiers were behind me, so I was like, fuck it. So I just jumped up onto the tiers, stepped on. That time I didn't jump over the barrier, I stepped onto the barrier and went off that. But then the first time I properly did it was Hamza at Bration last year, where I was like, mate, we're going to have a sold-out crowd. Let me go and jump off the tiers because it's going to look insane. Did it. Looked insane. So then it was like, I can't remember the next time I did it. I think it was who did I do it to next? I know I definitely did one to Danny recently. I did one to Madness Malik. I did one to him too.
But I mean, there's zero space, for error. Where you've literally got to hit that landing because it's like freaking the gap's wide. You can't see my hands now, but it's literally the person's laid there and you've got just more space, and it's like if you mess that up in any way, shape, or form, one of you is getting hurt.
Yeah. Again, it's nice to be trusted to be doing something like that.
That's it. I was going to say, it's just obviously they like you a lot, so they're like, yeah, it's cool. We'll let Joe mess us up. It's fine.
Yeah,
dude, that's awesome. Like I say, mate, just from talking, watching all the stuff, the singles debut at Win. Mate, I'm just hyped. I think over the next 12 months, I just think awesome things are going to start happening. Even more awesome things. Awesome things have already happened. I'm excited for you, dude. So I'm glad I got to talk to you now. So I think in 12 months' time, if you ever fancy doing it again, we could talk in a year, and it'll be a case of you will not believe the shit that's been going on this last 12 months. I
hope you're right, man. I really do.
Dude, yeah, like I say, I can't see it not because it's just there's, again, I'm speaking from this side of the curtain. I'm just a fan, I like watching stuff. I like to think that I've kind of over the years I've kind of developed and been like, right, that guy's awesome, that guy's awesome, that guy's going to be huge. 9 times out of 10, I can kind of call it, and I just think you've got that kind of presence, just the smoothness, the awesomeness, the ability, the agility. Dude, you just tick all the boxes, and it's just like, yeah, you could put you on a poster, and obviously I think you get eyes on the prize. So
thank you, man. I really do appreciate that.
No, not always, dude. I've just clocked the time. I said I'd keep you for about an hour, which I have done. Hopefully you've enjoyed the chat. We've had a laugh.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Dude, do you want to let people know where they can find you on Insta so they can keep an eye out for future shows?
Instagram is literally Joe Sedgwick. Couldn't be simpler. There's no PW in there. There's no letters in there. No letters, no numbers. Joe Sedgwick. Nice.
That's it. Obviously, my boy Ash on Insta will tag you in the post when this episode gets uploaded. And if you're not following Joe, hit him up, give him a follow. If you can get to a show that he's on, go watch it. Go see the dude in action. Be amazed, have your mind blown. But yeah, dude, honestly, mate, from the bottom of my heart, I think, you know, good things are coming. You know, I wish you all the best in the world.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
It's been an absolute pleasure, dude. Like I said, I had to clock the time, so I was just like, oh shit, you know. I thought, oh, we've been talking about 30 minutes. I was like, oh no, shit, right, no, it's been an hour, right? Okay, cool. But obviously, everybody else, you know, thank you for watching. Hit like, subscribe, share, comment, all the generic stuff we always ask you to do at the end of the episode. And we will be back again very, very soon. Haven't seen on the socials. I've got an announcement to make. Tim Strange will be joining me next month, the 05 as well. I haven't announced that one yet, I don't think. And there's plenty of other people coming up as well. So keep your eyes peeled, and remember, always work the left side. And we'll speak again very soon. Goodbye.